All right, yesterday I created a video that showed you how to use NotebookLM and ChatGPT 5 to create a NotebookLM that could teach you how to create NotebookLMs for educational purposes. Now, now, if you did that, if you watch it and you do that, that's great. You learn how to use it. Now, I'm gonna use it for practical purposes now, and I'm gonna start with this idea. I'm going to start with this idea. So this was a post that I got recently about 1983. Steve Jobs um, did this interview. Now listen to this very carefully.
When I was going to school, I had a few great teachers and a lot of mediocre teachers. And the thing that probably kept me out of jail was books, because I could go read what Aristotle wrote or what Plato wrote. And I didn't have to have an intermediary in the way. And a book was a phenomenal thing. It got right from the source to the destination without anything in the middle. The problem was you can't ask Aristotle a question. And I think as we look towards the next 50 to 100 years, if we really can come up with these machines that can capture an underlying spirit or an underlying set of principles or an underlying way of looking at the world, then when the next Aristotle comes around, maybe if he carries around one of these machines with him his whole life, his or her whole life, and types in all this stuff, then maybe someday after the person's dead and gone, we can ask this machine, hey, what would Aristotle have said? What about this? And maybe we won't get the right answer, but maybe we will. And that's really exciting to me. And that's one of the reasons I'm doing what I'm doing. So what do you want to talk about?
And I have to say, that's really exciting to me also. Now, when I worked at Pearson, I was part of the AI Ambassadors program. And I'll tell you, I would not be using AI for anything if it wasn't for Pearson's AI Ambassadors program. So I will forever be thankful to those people who ran that program. Now, specifically, one of the things they showed me back when there was ChatGPT 3.5 was they were working on a AI assistant for a textbook, and it was Darwin. It was Charles Darwin, the persona of Charles Darwin. It had an English accent, had all the knowledge of Charles Darwin, because obviously Pearson has all these books that are published, and they can put anything into their AI systems as a brain or resource to create these personas. And you could take a biology class, and then you could ask Charles Darwin about evolution, and he would talk to you as if he was Charles Darwin and talk about his reasoning behind why he came up with the ideas he came up with. And wow, that was, at the time, it blew my mind. But then I said, how can I do that? So I learned about things. And I'll tell you right now, this guy right here, this is a LinkedIn class, Carl Cap. So this is a LinkedIn class called AI Prompts for Gamified Learning Design. And he really shows you how to create these GPTs and how to create them as talking chat box with personas. So if you are excited about this stuff like I am, I took all these courses, but this is the one. This is the one for you to watch if you want to create talking personas to help in situations, whether it's game design or just tutoring students how to learn science or things like that. And I myself created this called the Physics Explainer. And the Physics Explainer is the GPT that I created that has the persona of Richard Feynman. And I click on it just for a second so you get an idea. So I don't use it to talk with. I was just using it to use. And this is on the, it's on the, what do they call this? The GPT store, I guess, Explorer. Let's see. Well, it has it there. It's going to come up. The Physics Explainer. And let's see if it comes up. Oh, see there. So anyone who has the $20 a month paid subscription of ChatGPT 5 can use this, can use this themselves. And you can see there's other people that created Feynman physics. So now there's a bunch, there's three of these that people can use to learn physics and have physics explained to them as if they were being tutored by Richard Feynman. And wow, to me that's exciting. So if you like stuff like that, just go ahead and and use that because that's awesome. But what I'm going to do today is I'm going to show you how to create a persona using Notebook LM, like I talked about. And what I'm going to do, I can get rid of this. And what I'm going to do is, so I have to present, or I am presenting at November 8th at the Science Teachers Association of New York State. And the keynote speaker is Paul Anderson. And Paul Anderson, being a YouTube influencer and doing presentations nationally, I've been to his presentations in Stannis and Rochester, I don't know, maybe 2019, 2020, something like that. So what he does is he teaches teachers on his YouTube page how to create next generation science standards aligned phenomenon-based activities so that they could do this with the students. And I know how to do that. You know, I've been working with next generation science standards actually before they were even written, because I was part of the teachers that were able to do the editorial review of the next generation science standards. So I had insight to the whole production of it, which was awesome. And I even have friends like Don Haas who were actually involved in the creation of these next generation science standards. So I have a little inside influence, and I have a little bit of ability to understand what's going on here with all of the experiences and knowledge and jobs and opportunities I've had to do this. So I've gone and seen him, and he does an excellent job. But teachers want to learn; they want to learn. And New York State has just implemented new standards for science classes, and now a lot of teachers are like, hey, now we have to be more next generation science standard oriented. How do I do that? How do I do phenomenon based lessons? And I even went to Syracuse University for a presentation back in November of 2004 using ChatGPT 3.5 to show how you could use ChatGPT to help you incorporate phenomena-based lessons in your classroom, because that was my job at Pearson, was to create next generation science dimension, three-dimensional assessments, and come up with ideas for state boards of education to give to their teachers on how they could implement, like just what New York's doing, how could they implement lessons in their classroom that are three-dimensionally designed next generation science standards. So here's an idea. What if I took all this information about Paul Anderson and his keynote address and created a Notebook LM that could teach teachers how to do what Paul Anderson does? All right, how strategic teaching can amplify student sense making, all this stuff, you know, all these fancy words. So let's go ahead and I'll show you how to do this. All right, so as I did last time, the first thing I want to do is I want to go to ChatGPT, because I love ChatGPT and ChatGPT loves me. That's what she says. Anyways, it's a joke. So I don't I use voice mode. So I have conversation. I'm telling you, I'm going to say it every single time. If you want to learn how to use AI and you want to use ChatGPT, use voice mode, close the keyboard, put glue on the keys. Don't use the keys anymore, because it's better to talk as an assistant, like it's someone you're working with. And this is something, I guess, maybe if you have a remote job, like I've had a remote job for the last 6 years, and everyone I talk to is either on the phone or on a computer, and half the time they don't have their cameras on. So it's like I'm talking to a chatbot. It really is. I talk to people, and it's like talking to a chatbot. And if I have that mindset with ChatGPT, and I talk to it as if there's a person actually that I'm talking to, I get so much accomplished. Everything comes out perfect. So let's go ahead and look at this. So you can see this. I wrote this down. YouTube influencer Paul Anderson of Bozeman Science giving a keynote. Here's the title. Here's the description. Can you search the internet for resources, best practice that'll help me create this on a NotebookLM? So I want to create his presentation, or I want to create his persona on a NotebookLM. Same thing I could create is I could create a GPT with his persona. Same thing. And then any teacher around the world, any teacher has access to the internet, just not people that go to his presentations because they're fortunate enough to be in an area he'll show to, or they have the money to pay $400. You got to pay $400 to present at a conference. I mean, like that's a lot of dough, right? It's like who has that kind of money just to throw away, just to try and help other teachers learn how to teach better? So the fact that people do that is insane, but there's a lot of people that don't have that kind of money and don't have those kind of opportunities. Like when I started teaching, my first paid teaching career job was at Selma Middle School in Selma, Alabama. And those kids had nothing. Those teachers had nothing. We had a copy machine, and that's it. I had one textbook in my classroom. I had no money for science supplies. I had no science supplies. First day I showed up at the job, there was nothing in my classroom except one textbook for the teacher and a box of chalk. And you think that's an odd experience. My second job was at Fairfield, Alabama. And same thing. I showed up and they gave me 2 boxes of chalk. And they said, we can't get to the textbooks right now, but you should know enough about physical science that you could teach these kids. So you could use a copy machine and print off some stuff and give it to them. So this is what we deal with as educators, trying to get resources, trying to get money, trying to get anything. This is why when your elementary school teacher says, hey, can you provide a box of Kleenex for the kids to blow their nose, just give it to them, for God's sakes. Don't be such a jerk. These teachers need resources, and I feel like I'm trying to provide knowledge to help them get resources that they don't have to spend a lot of money on. Like I said, ChatGPT, Google, they're both $20 a month, cheaper than Netflix. And what's on Netflix? Nothing but garbage. So anyways, off my high horse and let's get started. So I asked for this, and they gave me all of these documents. This is, let's see, let's click on this. All right, teaching elements, all the rest of it. What did it give me? It gave me Paul Anderson's actual presentation for New York State learning standards. Okay, so I have that, and we know where we're going with this. I also I have it sitting in front of me. I use this all the time, and I show this back in November. I showed him. I said, you want to learn how to create phenomena-based classroom lessons? Take this book. It's a PDF. Here it is. It's free. It's on the internet. Upload it into ChatGPT and say, hey, using the information in this book, I need to make lessons. And then it'll give it to you. So if you want to go back and look at my previous presentation, it's under the Buff State presentation of AI empowering physics teachers. And it also has, it's a 2-hour presentation. The first hour is Buff State and the second hour is Syracuse University. And everything I did at Syracuse University was using ChatGPT 3.5 to help New York State's physics teachers learn how to get phenomena-based lessons so that they could have these things aligned to teaching the learning standards in New York State, the new learning standards that are now out. So you can go watch that one too, but it's really, really necessary because I'm gonna create a NotebookLM and show you how to do that. That'll do all this stuff better than I ever explained it using ChatGPT 3.5. So let's go ahead and let's say, all right, the first thing I want to do is I want to come here and I want to choose a file, and let's see if I have this. Let's see. I want documents. I want, where do we got here? Stannis is where I'm going to keep all my presentation stuff, and there's the stuff for Paul Anderson. So let's go with there is Paul Anderson's published PDF presentation. Okay. All right. So we put that in there. And this is great. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at some of these other things that Google gave me. So let's go to this. This is Paul Anderson doing his video about it, 3 minutes long, about him explaining WIDA. So let's go to YouTube and let's go ahead with our share. And I'm going to take that. I'm going to go to my NotebookLM and I'm going to add, and I'm going to YouTube. All right. Insert. All right. So I have that's Paul Anderson. So I have all these links for all these things to use. Okay. So I'm gonna pause this right here, and I'm gonna go ahead and add these. All right. Add all these things. Edutopia. All right. I'm gonna add that right now because this is awesome. So let's go. Here's the web page. Right. So I added a PDF. I ordered a PowerPoint. I don't care. I don't want that. I want. So I realized. So this link, you don't want the source ChatGPT. You just want the link. Control C. Let's go over here and let's add website. Control V. Insert. Okay, we're shaping this. Right? You get the gist because I already created a video. I'm gonna pause this. I'm gonna add all of the best resources that I think are going to be used to create this, including the entire book of a framework for K-12 science education, practices, cross-cutting concepts and core ideas by the National Science Research Science Council, because that's really that's what Paul's using. So Paul is using that book. All teachers are using that book as the ultimate source. It was published when the Next Generation Science Standards came out, and that is the source of all knowledge that everyone else is disseminating. So that will be in here as the basis also. So I'm going to pause this. I'm going to add all this stuff, and I'm going to show you the exciting things we can do with it. Okay. This is the thing with not working with AI. So I recorded a whole video, and as it was going through the stage where it's this Camtasia Studio, from screen capture to going into the Camtasia for edit, it said file's been corrupted and everything was deleted. So that's like an hour I lost when I'm just using AI, and I can make things in like 5-10 minutes. So anyways, I'll go over it. So I put all these in, right? And as I put it in, there was this page that Paul Anderson created, The Wonder of Science. And he has this video right here. That's a teacher's guide to scientific inquiry and how he uses that. And he has all the PDFs free for teachers to use. This is a game that you learn three-dimensional science and phenomena and things like that by playing. All the cards are here. The posters are here. I put all that in. I put all these in our notebook. All right. So I uploaded those all up, the PDFs and the rest of it. And I created there's the podcast and the first video that's basically on how to do things. I'll go over these again. All this other stuff is basically just clicking on buttons. So I'll show you that, and then I'll show you another video overview. So why don't I do that first? So here's another video overview. Oh no, I didn't want to do that. That was bad. All right, so I want to do it this way. All right, so let's pick anime this time, and not remember because you never saw it. In my previous video, I showed you how to use this. What should I ask the AI to focus on in the demonstration control? And I'll show you. I did this in my previous video, but what I did was I created a new video that I'll show you in a second. It says I need to create a prompt for what should the AI host focus on in NotebookLM overview. I would like the video to present specifically how physics teachers can create phenomena-based lessons aligned. So we created that video for the New York State Standards. So can you write that prompt for me? And ChatGPT wrote that prompt. So I'm going to copy this. And I'm going to do a new one for you. Control C and Control V. All right. I want the video to present specifically how physics teachers can create a 3D lesson about Newton's laws. Okay? For students to do in class. All right, so this is kind of I'm gonna hit this. So I've been more specific. So the first video was just, and I accidentally clicked the button again. It was just a video that was about what Paul Anderson is presenting, kind of, and all the information that's behind it. And then the second video was more specific because it was about how physics teachers could use this information for New York State. And now this one's for a specific lessons about Newton's laws. So let's go back, and you're probably going to have to go on. Well, no, I'll do this again. So I'm going to generate that. I paste it in there, and the prompt gives it. All right. So this was the one I hit the button for. That should be another one that's general, be a little bit different. This is the one that I just specifically called out with nano banano for video overview. And now that we did this, let's come down here. And I think this is kind of what messes up my my computer. All this, I'm using all this AI to produce things, and I'm interacting with AI. So let's take a look at the audio podcast. So let's go ahead and click on that.
Let's start with that foundation then. This idea of three-dimensional learning.
Makes sense. You need that structure first.
All right, we want to interact. It's going to start over. Push play.
Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're tackling something pretty central to K-12 education.
So now what we could do is we could
It's
join these
well, the
things.
seeming contradiction
And
teachers face.
you
Right.
click
How do you
join,
build this
and
really
usually it says,
solid,
you know,
rigorous
sure your
structure
computer
for
can do
learning?
this.
But at the same time,
You go,
make
okay,
space for
if I'm
genuine
recording a
student-led
video and try to do
discovery.
this
It
all
feels
at the
like they
same
pull in
time,
opposite directions.
then
Exactly. Our sources
it
today
bogs
look
up
at
my
frameworks
computer,
trying to solve
so it's a
that.
little
The big
slow.
picture goal. It's not just about knowing stuff.
No, it's aiming higher. The benchmark mentioned is preparing students to be careful consumers of scientific and technological information related to their everyday lives. That's quite a practical goal.
Really grounded. So our mission here is to sort of unpack two key things from these sources.
Okay.
First, that structure piece, the three-dimensional learning framework, what deep learning should look like.
1 second. Whoa, did someone just break the fourth wall? Let's hear it.
Yes, I broke the fourth wall. I don't think you can hear me yet, so I'm waiting for this to pop up. And once again, I'm recording this video, so you'll see this line when I talk. I'm waiting for a pop up over here. This usually pops up right away, but like I said, since I'm recording a screencast, it bogs down my computer and makes it difficult for this to pop up so that I can interact with this actual tool. But as I'm waiting, I'll describe this. All right, let's do it again.
Hey, yeah, what's up?
Hey, can you hear me? So no, I can't hear me. I'll keep doing that.
Thank you for breaking the fourth wall for us. We absolutely hear you now.
Yes, loud and clear, and we really appreciate you letting us know about the
Oh,
delay.
Oh yeah.
so you guys were just talking about three-dimensional learning. I don't have a clue. What is a three-dimensional learner? Is that someone that like plays chess in 3 different boards?
That is a phenomenal question.
And that three-board chess visual is actually a great analogy.
Because that's exactly what three-dimensional learning is.
It means we're moving beyond just one plane of learning.
It's a framework that makes sure students aren't just memorizing facts.
That's the first dimension, the content or the disciplinary core ideas.
Think of that as one board in your chess analogy. That's what they learn.
But then there's the second board, the practices.
This is what they do.
This includes things like asking questions, developing models, and engaging in argumentation.
It's putting them in the role of the scientist or engineer.
And the third board, the third dimension, is the cross-cutting concepts.
This is how they think.
These are big organizing themes like cause and effect, patterns, or systems and system models.
So a three-dimensional learner is someone who uses all 3 boards, the facts, the practices, and the big concepts, to explain something in the real world.
We call that real-world event a phenomenon.
Like why that apple falls from the tree, which one of our sources mentions.
You'd use the core idea of gravity, the practice of asking questions, and the concept of cause and effect.
All three dimensions work together. You need all three to understand science.
What's fascinating here is that this approach shifts the focus from simply covering that content.
It moves towards students actively making sense of these real-world phenomena.
And we really appreciate you jumping in to ask that.
It's what makes this interactive format work, even with a little lag.
Speaking of which, that context about the screencasting is helpful for us too.
Yeah, knowing there might be a delay helps us balance the conversation's pace.
Your update about the technology also relates directly to one of those core ideas we just mentioned.
Right, the PS4 core idea focuses on waves and their applications in technology.
That core idea covers how waves transfer energy and information.
And how technological devices, like the ones that make this podcast possible for you, use principles of wave behavior.
Think about the digitized signals sent as wave pulses that make our real-time communication possible.
So understanding the physical science is key to being that careful consumer of information our sources emphasize.
But don't worry about the tools, we're just glad you're here.
And ready to jump in whenever you are, please feel free to chime in anytime.
That's why we built this interactive format.
So to return to the structure of the rest of our deep dive.
We've covered the first key takeaway, the three-dimensional framework.
Right, and you nailed the core concepts, the disciplinary core ideas.
The cross-cutting concepts and the practices.
Now for the second key thing.
That really practical teaching method.
Exactly. It's about weaving explicit skill instruction into...
So this is actually a surprise because it caught me like fourth wall. It caught me talking about my computer being laggy and actually put that in there and then added it as a description. I mean, this is incredible. Every time I use this, my mind is blown more. And I can't imagine what it's going to be like next month, next year, in 2 years, in 3 years. I can't by next school year, the 2026 school year next year, I can't imagine how this is going to be. It's probably going to be video avatar interactions. So what this does is you have a script, right? You have a podcast script. And by clicking on that, you can break into that script at any point, and then it takes a specific amount of time to explain what you added in questions or how you interacted with it. And then once it's done with that, it goes seamlessly right back to the script. So there's a specific script, and the student would hear everything that you heard with the original script from beginning to end, but they could supplement more information into that script as you go along. And that's insane. I can't imagine what it's going to be like when they could actually put an avatar in there. So you don't see it anymore, but you could click on this. Let's go with we already know what the three dimensions are. What is the purpose of phenomena? So that's just a thing to click on. But I had asked for things to be produced for let's see, instructional purposes. So let's see, NotebookLM engaging students. That was from yesterday. So this is what I had today. So I'll go back up there. I asked for a phenomena-based lesson on static electricity, and then I asked it to produce a handout to have in class for my students. Okay, and this is it. I could just print it out. This is a Word document now because I copied and pasted it from NotebookLM into here. So let's go back up here and we'll look at these things that I wrote. It says, here's the original. Can you create one classroom lesson on static electricity as aligned to three? So it did this. So it created a classroom activity for static electricity. And it shows the DCI, the SCPs, CCCs, all three dimensions. All right. And it has an outline. This is like a teacher's brainstorm ideas, develop initial models, designing table. All right. It has all of this information in here. So it has created a teacher's guide for a specific three-dimensional lesson on static electricity you could use in physics. Something else I didn't talk about is Paul Anderson's PDF was specifically about the New York State framework. So these are actually from New York State. These are the framework documents for New York State. So I added those too. You could add, like, when you go to Stannis and people are handing you PDFs or you're getting PDFs, keep them all and use them for the brain. Don't lose them. This is something that'll create an even smarter AI, NotebookLM. And so then I said, can you create that student guide? And that's what I just showed you. I just copied and pasted that. So you just click on this. This copies the words, and then you paste it in Microsoft Word. It gets rid of all the annotations. The annotations show you what specifically over here. So this annotation is from Paul Anderson himself. This number 1, that was his PDF, was the first thing we put in there. So this was something specifically from, and this is Paul Anderson's video right here. I think, I can't remember, but it tells you which one of these sources it used to get this information right here. Hi, it's Paul Anderson in this video I want to talk about. So this is from Paul Anderson also, right? So we have these, okay? So now let's look at, I showed this last time, the mind map, inquiry-based learning models, okay? So we have the 5 E's of instruction, okay? We can go over here to the side. Oh, you could click on it, and it'll give you even more information about the 5 E's if you need a summary of what that means. This is a mind map, and the mind map shows you all this stuff, and you could click on any of these to learn more over here. So that's insane because there's a lot of information there. There's a lot of information in this thing. All right. I clicked on the reports, and I clicked the briefing doc, study guide. No, not study guide, because that usually has just quiz questions, and a blog post. So these 4 on top are the ones that are always the same. And then these 4 at the bottom are ones that are magically suggested by AI to go with what you have. So I clicked on the walkthrough process, the concept explainer, and the executive brief. Oh, I clicked on all of these, okay? And it created documents. So there's more documents in here. Now, let's go back to this. Oh, well, we got to do the video first. So this was the first video that was just about, I didn't say anything. I just clicked on this box. I just said, just like I did before, click video overview. And it created this one here. So let's look at this real quick.
So, today, we're going to dive into something really exciting, a revolutionary. Instead, we weave everything together, data and with logic, cause and effect, and your analyzing systems. These are the... But it's not just a long list of facts anymore. The best way to think of these core ideas is as the playground where students get to use the practices and the cross-cutting concepts. This core knowledge is organized into these 4 major domains. But here's the magic. Instead of...
All right, so we have our domains, all the rest of it. So this was not a guided. I didn't guide this. It just took the information, and the AI itself said this is probably the best way to present that. So that's great. But then I took what I did, as we know, is I took these. Let's call them deep dives, because what I call them. I said I want this. I wanted to focus specifically on how physics teachers can create phenomena based on lessons aligned to New York State standards. Can you write that prompt for me? And then I'm going to show you this real quick while I'm here. Hello, ChatGPT. Can you talk to me with your voice? Hello? I can't hear you.
I'm here and ready to help. What's on your mind today?
Yeah, I was just making prompts to create video presentations with NotebookLM. Can you write a prompt for me for earth science teachers that want to present a 3-dimensional lesson aligned to the New York State standards for plate tectonics? Can you do that for me?
Absolutely. Here's a concise prompt you can use. Guide to educator hosts to show earth science teachers how to create a 3-dimensional lesson on plate tectonics aligned to New York State standards. Start with selecting a real-world phenomenon like earthquakes or mountain formation. Outline how students will explore the disciplinary core ideas, science and engineering practices, and cross-cutting concepts. Highlight where explicit instruction can support understanding of plate boundaries. Guide teachers through structuring the lesson phases, phenomenon introduction, inquiry activities, explicit teaching moments, and student modeling, and conclude by creating assessments that connect the phenomenon to the standards.
All right, thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Let me know if you need any more help or tweaks. Happy to assist anytime. Good luck with your NotebookLM project.
All right, so what that does is obviously, so here it was, I was just making prompts, this is what I said, it was transcript, and then there's the prompt. So that's what I'm talking about is, you didn't even see it in the last one. Maybe you saw it in the first one. I type every word. But when I talk to it, it's a more natural flow. And that's what I'm suggesting everybody do. I don't want to just say that's what I'm suggesting. I want to show you that's what I'm doing too. All right, so let's come back over here. And now let's look at the video for the physics. Right here. Phenomena based for physics. And I watched this. I'm going to put this on YouTube. I want to look at. Here we go.
The goal is so much bigger.
5 minutes.
It's for them to truly.
It's talking about.
This is the formula for three-dimensional learning. Students are doing science with the practices, they're thinking like scientists using the cross-cutting concepts as their lenses, and they're doing all of it to make sense of the core knowledge of the subject. It's the whole package. And when you start braiding those three dimensions together, this is the kind of amazing lesson flow you get. You don't start with a list of vocabulary words. You start with a phenomenon, something real and observable that makes students go, why did that happen? That curiosity then drives them to ask questions, explore, and build their own models to explain it, using those practices and concepts to really understand the core idea. And it goes without saying, if we're going to change how we teach, we absolutely have to change how we assess. A three-dimensional assessment doesn't just ask a student to define a word from memory. No way. It gives them a new situation, a new problem, and asks them to use what they know to figure it out. It's all about assessing what students can do with their knowledge. So when you zoom all the way out, what's the point of all this? The ultimate goal here isn't just to create a few more professional scientists, as great as that is. It's so much bigger. It's about raising an entire generation of scientifically literate citizens, people who can think critically, who can evaluate evidence, and who can be thoughtful participants in a world that is completely shaped by science. And that brings it all right back to you, in your classroom. This entire framework is designed to empower you, to shift from being the person with all the answers to being the guide who helps students find the answers for themselves. So really,
So anyways, I'll leave it there. This will be on YouTube if you want to see it. So all that's there. But really, right? That is the base of it. We want to teach students to be critical thinkers. And this is an awesome tool to help you do that. So let's look at this was just generated. And I think we'll see what this is. This is probably just another one.
All right, let's talk about science class. You know, for decades, the way we've taught science has looked, well, pretty much the same. But what if I told you we've been looking at it all wrong? There's a new vision out there, and it's all about transforming students from just passive observers into actual active investigators. So, I've got a quick question for you. Take a second, seriously. When I say science class, what's the first thing that pops into your head? Because I'm willing to bet that for a whole lot of us, the memories are kind of similar. Yeah? Does any of that ring a bell? Memorizing tons of facts, labeling diagrams over and over again in those labs, right? They felt more like following a recipe. Add 2 drops of this, stir for 30 seconds, than any kind of real discovery. It was this world of separate facts, where every question had one and only one right answer. Science was basically treated like this giant encyclopedia you just had to memorize. But then there's this powerful idea, this quote, that just completely flips that whole script. The research is so clear on this. Children are born investigators. They come into this world naturally curious, just driven to figure things out. So there
we go. So those are pretty good presentations. Like I said, this last one that is on Newton's forces, I'm going to pause this here, and then we'll see if we can watch that in a second. So here we're going to pause it. Okay, here's our last video. I didn't do the earth science one yet because I want to do this and get this over with. So remember, we said, oh, this was the earth science. So let's go back. We wanted to do Newton's laws. So 3D lesson about Newton's laws that students can do in class. And this is, so I'm interested. I don't know how specific can you dig? I guess there is nothing too specific. So that's 3-minute mark. Let's start with this.
In this explainer, we're going to do something a little different. We're not just talking theory today. We are actually going to design a lesson together from scratch. We're tackling a classic, Newton's laws of motion, and we're going to build a lesson that really, truly makes it click for students.
Right, because let's be honest, we've all been there.
Okay, so that's the start.
This is probably
I'm going to go.
always
This is a good
inertia,
part.
the disciplinary core.
All right.
Okay, so we've got our phenomenon. The next step is to create a blueprint for our lesson. We're going to take that car collision and really analyze it, mapping it to each of those 3 dimensions we talked about. This is so important because it makes sure our lesson is truly integrated and not just a fun activity with a couple of science words thrown in. First up, the disciplinary core ideas, the DCIs. As physics teachers, this is our home turf, right? This is the core content. For our car crash lesson, we're targeting the DCI called PS2, which is all about motion, stability, forces, and interactions. This is where Newton's first, second, and third laws all live. It's where we get specific about the knowledge students need to gain. Next, let's think about the doing. What are the science and engineering practices, the SEPs, that our students will actually be doing to figure this all out? Are they going to be developing a model to explain how an airbag works? Or maybe engaging in an argument, using evidence about why seatbelts are so effective? This dimension is all about getting them actively involved in the investigation. And last but not least, the cross-cutting concepts, or CCCs. Think of these as the big themes that connect all of science. They're like mental filing folders that help students organize their thinking. For a car crash, the idea of cause and effect is just massive. The collision is the cause, the sudden change in motion is the effect. Systems and system models is another great one, as we get them thinking about the car and the passenger as an interconnected system. And here on this slide, you can see how it all comes together. This is our blueprint. We've got our one single phenomenon, the vehicle collision, and it lets us weave in all 3 dimensions perfectly. The DCI, Newton's laws, explains the forces. The SEP has students actively modeling how safety features work, and the CCC has them using cause and effect to structure their entire explanation. See?
So you can go to my YouTube page to watch this full video, but this is what I want to tell you is what we did was we just created a NotebookLM with Paul Anderson's brain. Okay. Luckily, he still has this in his head, but we took a little piece of all the information he's been giving out for free and generating over the internet, and we put it together and we created these instructions. Now I can go in and I can create a lesson, as we know, for any topic. I can create this. I can have it create designs. So as a teacher, I don't have to create videos. I could just have it create lesson plans, come up with phenomena, all that stuff. So this is amazing. If you don't use this, then shame on you, is all I could say. You know, people are like, I don't need AI. I could think of things myself. And yeah, sure you can. That's great. But look at this. This is an anime. This is so engaging for students. This is so engaging for other people. You can take, say, a conceptual physics. I have the PDF of that. I could ask for specific presentations on Newton's first law, Newton's second law. I could take all that, and when you use just the default one, they look like Hewitt drew it. You can see my other videos with that. So that's it. That's all I got for you today. Go out, have fun, enjoy. Have a great day.